Oh, so I'm gonna start at the Rabiot point. Did you see the rumors that Madrid wants to sign him if Ceballos leaves? So
Yes.
that's something.
It
Uh,
came out of nowhere. And quite frankly, I just have been so busy I don't even know where that report came from. Was it someone reputable?
no, it was just Diario AS, and I think it's just because now that we have a very strong contingent of French players,
Yeah.
and they're just 2 + 2 = 4. They're making stuff up at this point.
So just a couple things on that, on the Rabiot point. Number one, I don't know if people understand how easy it is to create rumors. Like it's so easy. Like you can
Mhm.
literally just wake up one day, hey, like, hey, you know what is like maybe 5% believable? Real Madrid has 4 French players, and they're friends with Rabiot, and now for unity reasons, Real Madrid want to sign Rabiot as well to like for the French core. The second point, in the event, the quote unquote, in the event that Ceballos leaves, uh, Rabiot literally does nothing that Ceballos does. Like they're
Yeah,
completely different players.
yeah,
Like Ceballos kind of fits the mold of progressive passer in if in the post Cruz era if he plays. Rabiot is not a progressive passer.
yeah.
Rabiot is someone who basically has as it's a poor man's Camavinga, poor man's Jew, poor man's Fede Valverde. He can carry the ball, and he's just not as good as the other three. Um, right. Didier Deschamps. I I think he should be arrested. Do you remember during the World Cup when we were doing podcasts I had finally come around to the idea of Camavinga playing left back, and I
Yeah.
apologized to Deschamps because he actually started to play good at left back, and now I'm back on arrested for terrorism. Well, but it was nice to see Tchouameni on the field.
Yeah, yeah.
All jokes aside, Tchouameni playing his first game since oh god, I don't even know. I mean, he hadn't played for
Since the
Real Madrid
Champions League semifinal. Yeah,
semifinals, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I thought he looked great. He didn't look like he missed a step. I think there is also this is a case for because a lot of people were calling for him to start the first game, and I was understanding of him not starting. Like you don't want to necessarily put him in right away unless he's 100% ready. And turns out I think that one game extra off helped him, and I thought he looked
Mhm.
really good today. What was your understanding of the way that France lined up? I mean, like originally I wasn't sure if it was going to be a 4-3-3 with Tchouameni, Rabiot, and Kante. It turned out to me that it was mostly Tchouameni and Kante double pivot, but actually mostly Tchouameni was the one who was dropping the deepest, while Kante and Rabiot kind of venturing between the lines a little bit.
Yeah. So Rabiot right now, Kiyan, is basically Deschamps' Sissoko. If you remember,
Teacher's pet.
he used to play Sissoko a lot during the 2016 Euros, 2018 World Cup, if I'm not mistaken. Right
Yeah.
now, so he needs that kind of ball crasher, toe crasher kind of a player who can run a bit. Can kind of do a lot of things here and there, but is not excellent at any of them. So Deschamps kind of always likes that kind of a profile within the starting 11. So that's from where Rabiot comes in. Uh, I'd really like the dynamic of Tchouameni and Kante. I think their double pivot was great because at times Tchouameni would drive forward. In all honesty, only caught the last half an hour of the game, uninterruptedly. The first half was I had to watch it between interruptions, but whatever I saw of them, I really liked them, and I think only saw the part where France were actually trying to create something during the last stretch of the game. They actually had a couple of really good chances as well. The Chouameni flick to Giroud was great. We know Chouameni has this great ball in his arsenal. And Kante is pretty much undroppable right now. Now, whatever the lineup was in this game was whatever the lineup was in this game because he had the room to bring in one player for Mbappe, and he brought in Chouameni, of course. Now things will be interesting in the next game. Who does he drop in the midfield? I don't think he drops any of the midfielders, to be honest. And I'm considering Griezmann a midfielder in this context as well. I think he drops Thuram for Mbappe whenever Mbappe becomes available. That's going to
Yeah.
be France's next thing. And to be honest, Kian, I think in this game, a lot of the things we probably have to talk about is kind of big picture stuff for France now in the
Yeah.
tournament, because the game was whatever it was, like a 0-0. At one point, you could see that both teams are playing for the draw. I understand that your sentiment that we should arrest Deschamps for not bringing on Camavinga at all, but you see, Camavinga is that player that Deschamps brings in to create an impact, where he's really trying hard. He brought in,
but he didn't bring him in at all.
Yeah, because like he didn't want to try anything. He was happy with the draw. That's my point.
Right.
So,
So that's the thing. Like when I actually don't, in theory, have that much of an issue with Camavinga coming off the bench, because we've seen this guy play for a few years now, and we know that he can come off the bench, and it's actually strategic to bring him off the bench because he is such a game-changing presence who kind of jack of all trades. He can track, he can get in between the lines, he can get up and down the wing if you need him to do that. He can cover, he can do a bunch of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so that in theory actually is like a strategic move, but then he just didn't bring him on at all.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, this is my quibble. France have the deepest bench in the tournament. And I'm looking at it at halftime. I'm like, this is where ultimately they separate themselves from Netherlands, is in the second half, between, even if Mbappe doesn't feature because of his broken nose, between Coman and Colomwani and Camavinga. They have Ferland Mendy if they need someone to play more defensive if they have a lead. And he made 2 subs. And he just didn't use it. So I don't know. The thing is, I don't think France really played badly, to be honest. Yeah. I also made this point in the England post-game podcast the other day. Whenever was that? Yesterday? Gosh, I don't know. England played yesterday. That like the group stages don't really matter that much, to be fair. Like they don't. There is margin of error. It's kind of like the Champions League group stages, right? Like if something goes wrong and you play badly, you don't need to get too worried about it, because the big teams are gonna progress. They have time to figure it out. In England's case, my point though was that even though what might not matter for them to draw against Denmark and play kind of poorly, the England thing was Southgate doesn't really have an identity. Like he's still trying to figure this out. Whereas at least with other nations like France, Deschamps clearly has something in mind, right? And an identity to fall back on.